Hey everybody, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are talking about something that can be really tough. Selling your house during a divorce. It's already an emotional roller coaster, right? And then you add a house into the mix and well, it can get super complicated. But listen, don't worry, we're here to help you navigate this tricky situation. Today we're going to deep dive into this helpful guide called Selling Your Home During Divorce. And we will also share some insights from our experience at Sell That House to Me. So if you are going through a divorce and need to sell your house quickly and fairly, we're here to help. Visit sellthathousetome.com for a no-obligation cash offer anytime. Okay, let's dive into this guide.
It's a kind of surprising how many people just completely forget about the legal and financial stuff before they even think about selling. Like, they're so focused on getting the house on the market that they don't even know who actually owns the house.
Yeah, that's so true. We see that all the time. It's like trying to bake a cake without even looking at the recipe. You're just asking for disaster. And that's exactly what this guide emphasizes. Like before you even think about putting that for sale sign up, you need to do your homework. Figure out who legally owns the house. Like check for any court orders about the sale. And be crystal clear on how you're going to split the money from the sale. And of course, don't forget about all those ongoing expenses like the mortgage and those pesky property taxes.
Exactly. And that's when things can get really tricky, especially if talking to your ex is, well, let's just say it's not a walk in the park. You know emotions are running high, and it's easy to just let things get personal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Sometimes it feels like you were trying to negotiate a peace treaty in the middle of like a huge food fight. But you know what? This guide actually offers some really solid advice. If things are tense, bring in a mediator or a real estate attorney to help you navigate those choppy waters. They can be a lifesaver. Seriously, they can help keep things fair and objective.
Having someone neutral there can really help calm things down and make sure everyone feels like they are being heard and understood. And that brings us to the next big question. What's the best way to actually sell the house? This guide talks about three main approaches. The traditional sale, selling to a cash buyer, and then, as a last resort, auctions or short sales.
Okay, let's break those down a bit. So the traditional sale is the one we all kind of know, right? You list your house with a real estate agent, you stage it all fancy to impress those potential buyers, and then you wait and wait and wait for the right offer to come along. Now, the good thing is you might get a higher price this way, but the downside, ugh, it can take forever, like months, sometimes even longer. And let's be real, who has time for that, especially when you are already going through a divorce?
Time is definitely something people don't have a lot of during a divorce. That's where selling to a cash buyer can really make a difference. If you need to sell quickly and just want to be done with it, this option is definitely worth thinking about.
And you know that's exactly where Sell That House to Me comes in. We specialize in helping people in tough situations get cash for their homes fast and fair. No waiting around for a buyer to get a mortgage. No need to fix anything or deal with people coming to look at your house. You get a fair offer, and you can close in as little as 7 to 14 days. Visit sellthathousetome.com to learn more and get a no-obligation cash offer. See? Super easy.
It's all about taking away that extra stress and uncertainty. You know exactly what you were getting, and you can move forward when you're ready. That peace of mind can be priceless during a time that's already so emotionally draining.
Totally. Now, this guide also mentions auctions and short sales, but those are kind of like the last resort options. Auctions can be a gamble. You might not get the price you wanted. And short sales, which is when you sell for less than what you owe on the mortgage, well, that can really hurt your credit score.
Yeah, those options have their own set of risks, and they might not be the best fit for everyone's situation. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about something super important when selling your house: setting the price. Now, during a divorce, this can get a little, let's just say, emotionally charged.
You think? It's like trying to decide what to eat when one person wants pizza and the other is craving sushi.
Exactly. You and your ex might have totally different ideas about what the house is worth, and those disagreements can lead to some major tension. But the key here is to be realistic about the price. This guide recommends getting a comparative market analysis, or CMA, from a real estate agent. This helps you see what similar homes in your area are selling for.
Think of a CMA as a reality check for your house's value. It helps you see what buyers are actually willing to pay, which is super helpful when you're trying to agree on a price with your ex.
Absolutely. And don't forget about those pre-sale inspections. Those can uncover any hidden problems that might affect the price, so you can fix them ahead of time and avoid any nasty surprises later on.
It's all about being upfront and setting realistic expectations. And you know what else can help take the stress out of setting the price?
I think I know where you're going with this.
You got it. Getting a cash offer from Trey. Sell that house to me. Take the guesswork out of pricing. We'll give you a fair, no-obligation offer based on the current market value. You'll know exactly what you're getting, and you can avoid those back-and-forth negotiations that can sometimes feel like they'll never end.
It's all about making things simply and putting you back in control. Let's be honest, divorce is stressful enough without adding the uncertainty of a traditional sale. But what happens if, even with the best intentions, you and your ex just can't agree on a price?
Well, in those cases, the guide says to bring in a mediator or get some legal advice. Sometimes you just need someone neutral to help come up with a fair solution.
Yeah, it's like having a referee in a boxing match. They are there to make sure things stay fair and everyone follows the rules.
Exactly. You don't want arguments about the price to hold you back from selling the house and moving on.
Hmm.
Because ultimately, that's what it's all about, right?
Hmm.
Moving forward.
Selling the house can be like this powerful symbol of moving on, you know? Like
Yeah.
closing that chapter and starting fresh.
I totally get that. It's not just about getting rid of the house. It's about letting go of the past and embracing the future.
Exactly. And that brings us to something really important that the guide talks about. Don't let your emotions mess things up. It's easy to get caught up in those memories tied to the house, or maybe you're feeling resentful towards your ex and you want to make things harder for them.
Well, believe me, I've been there. Those emotions can be super intense, and they can totally sabotage the whole selling process. This guide calls it pitfall number 1, letting your ex sabotage the sale. Just imagine this. You found a buyer, you're all set to close, and suddenly your ex just refuses to cooperate. Maybe they won't let people see the house, or they start purposely damaging stuff. Talk about a nightmare.
It happens more often than you think. And that's why this guide recommends having a solid legal plan in place. Like, if your ex is being difficult, you might have to think about mediation or even going to court to force the sale.
It's not the best situation, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to protect yourself and make sure the sale goes through. And remember, you don't have to go through this alone. A good real estate lawyer can be your best friend in this situation. They can help you navigate all the legal stuff.
For sure. And speaking of potential pitfalls, here's another one the guide mentions. Selling without understanding the tax implications. Taxes are already confusing enough, right? But then you add divorce into the mix and whoa, it can get really messy really fast.
Ugh, tell me about it. Taxes can be a real pain. This guide makes it clear you could end up owing a lot in capital gains taxes if you sell the house for a profit. And let's be honest, no one wants to deal with a surprise tax bill on top of everything else they are going through.
Exactly. So what's the solution? The guide says something that seems obvious, but people forget all the time. Talk to a tax expert. They can break down all the tax stuff for your specific situation, help you pay as little as possible, and make sure you're totally prepared when tax season rolls around.
It's all about being proactive and knowing what you're getting into. A little bit of planning up front can save you so much stress and heartache down the road. Here's another tip from the guide that I wish someone had told me when I was going through my divorce. Don't wait until the last minute to figure out where you're going to live after you sell the house.
Oh, that's a good one. It's easy to get so wrapped up in the details of selling that you completely forget about what comes next.
Right. You sell the house, you give the keys to the new owner, and then you're like, wait a minute, where am I supposed to live now? It's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute.
Yeah. Whoa. That's a crazy image. But seriously, the guide really emphasizes how important it is to have a solid plan. Whether it's finding a rental, getting pre-approved for a mortgage on your next place, or figuring out other living arrangements, don't leave it up to chance.
Think of it like this. Selling your house is like running a marathon. You've put in all the hard work, you've crossed that finish line, and now it's time to celebrate and enjoy what you've accomplished. But you wouldn't just collapse on the ground after a marathon, would you? You'd have a plan for how to take care of yourself.
It's the same with selling your house during a divorce. You need a plan for what's next, for how you're going to create a new life for yourself.
And speaking of creating a new life, I got to give another shout out to Sell That House to Me. We're all about helping people transition smoothly, especially during tough times. If you need to sell your house fast and fair, and you just want to move on with your life, visit sellthathouse2me.com.
We can give you a no-obligation cash offer so you can see what your house is worth and explore your options without any pressure.
Exactly. We want to give you choices and empower you to make the best decision for your situation. So that brings us to the final stretch, closing the deal and moving on.
This is where all your hard work finally pays off. The guide really stresses how important it is to make sure everything is done right during this last stage. Carefully read all those closing papers, make sure everything matches what you agreed to in your divorce, and don't be afraid to ask your lawyer if you have any questions.
Better to be safe than sorry, right? especially when it comes to legal documents.
Absolutely. And here's another practical tip. Figure out the move-out dates with your ex well in advance to avoid any last-minute problems or delays. Moving is already stressful enough without adding any divorce drama on top of it.
Oh, I know. I once had to move out of my apartment while my ex was away on a business trip. Let's just say things didn't exactly go according to plan.
I can only imagine. But on a more serious note, this guide also reminds us to be careful with the money side of things. Once the sale is final, make sure the money is split fairly, just like it says in your divorce agreement. And don't forget to file a change of address so your mail and bills go to the right place.
Those might seem like little things, but they can make a big difference in making sure everything goes smoothly.
It's all about tying up those loose ends and closing that chapter for good.
And speaking of closing chapters, that brings us to something really interesting that the guide talks about.
Yeah.
The emotional side of selling your house during a divorce.
It's not just a business deal. It's a symbol of letting go and moving on.
Exactly. The house holds so many memories, good and bad. And selling it can feel like you're saying goodbye to a part of yourself, to a shared history.
It's like closing the book on that part of your life and starting a brand new one with a blank page.
And sometimes letting go of that old book, even if it means a lot to you, can be incredibly freeing. It gives you the chance to write a new story, one that's full of hope and new possibilities, and maybe even a little bit of adventure. Yeah, it's like you are trading in that old beat-up suitcase for a brand new one that's ready for all kinds of exciting new adventures.
I love that. Selling your house during a divorce. It's not just about getting rid of a property. It's about making room for new opportunities and new beginnings.
Exactly. And speaking of making room, remember what we said about having a plan for what happens after you sell the house. It's super important to think about where you want to live and what kind of life you see yourself having. It's all about taking a tough situation and turning it into a chance to grow and change for the better.
It's about taking charge of your future and creating a life that truly reflects you and what you want.
You got it. And sometimes that means making tough choices, like selling a house that holds a lot of memories. But hey, remember, you're not going through this alone. There are people and resources out there to help you every step of the way. Whether it's legal advice, financial guidance, or just someone who will listen with compassion, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help.
There are so many amazing organizations and people who are dedicated to helping people navigate the challenges of divorce. You don't have to do this all by yourself.
And speaking of support, I have to give another shout out to Sell That House to Me. We're not just a company that buys houses. We're a team of people who truly care about helping others, especially during difficult times like going through a divorce. We get it. We understand the emotional and financial stress that comes with divorce, and we're here to provide a fair, transparent, and stress-free way to sell your house. We're proud to offer a solution that lets you move forward with confidence and peace of mind, knowing that you're getting a good deal and a smooth closing process.
We've seen how selling a house quickly and easily can take so much pressure off people who are going through a divorce. It allows them to focus on healing, rebuilding, and moving on with their lives.
Exactly. And if you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure about what to do next, remember, you can always visit sellthathouse2me.com to get a no-obligation cash offer. It's a great way to check out your options and see what your house is worth in today's market. Our team of experts is always ready to answer your questions and guide you through the process. It's all about finding the right path for you. And sometimes that path leads to a simpler, faster, and less stressful way to sell your house and embrace a brighter future.
We believe everyone deserves a fresh start, and we're here to help make that happen.
So if you're ready to let go of the past and start a new chapter, remember, Sell That House to Me is here to support you all the way. Visit sellthathouse2me.com today and let us help you turn this challenge into a fresh start.
You got this. We're cheering you on.
And that's a wrap on today's deep dive into selling your home during a divorce. Thanks for joining us, and remember, no matter what life throws your way, you're stronger than you think. Take things one step at a time, surround yourself with support, and never be afraid to ask for help when you need it. And if you're looking for a fast, fair, and hassle-free way to sell your house, visit sellthathouse2me.com and get a no-obligation cash offer today.